Hey, what's up, everybody? You're listening to Walk-Ins. Welcome with Nick and Michael. We are excited to help you grow your clinic by getting more patients, repeat visits, better care, and scaling. What is up, Michael? How are you, man?
What is happening? This is a fun week for us because, well, two things. One, we were at a retreat last week. Two, it's July 4th week.
Yeah.
So it's just been weird at the office.
I think by the time you hear this, I hope you had a great time over the 4th of July.
Yeah. I hope you had a safe time. Hope you didn't have to visit an urgent care because you blew your leg off from a firework.
We need to roll the clip, the back up, Terry.
Yeah, exactly. That may happen a couple of times over the next couple of days. So,
hey, this may be good for your urgent care.
Yeah.
If y'all can see people who blew their fingers off or got hit in the eye with a bottle rocket or minor burns, maybe second-degree burns, whatever.
Now I want to ask our urgent care clients, like, do y'all get a spike right after July 4th from fireworks?
Probably on July 4th.
Yeah, exactly.
Get it because you expect the emergency rooms are getting crowded on the 4th, and then the next day is for the minor stuff, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Hey, can you just help me with this finger real quick? Anyway,
I burned it. But
so we've been going through this weird series over the summer. It's been summer around here, just like for you guys. Things tend to chill a little bit, tend to relax a little bit. Yeah. I started off the summer with a vacation with my son. Loved it.
I went to Disney.
You went to Disney. There was an episode that we did about that experience as well. But last week, Michael, we went on a team retreat, which is part of the original vision of the company. So
yeah.
I'll talk about that, but you talk about the retreat real quick.
Yeah, so this is the first off-site retreat we've ever done for the company. We've done some on-site style. When we say on-site, like in the city of Birmingham.
Right.
This was actually in Memphis. So, and the reason why Memphis? Like, so Nick is from Memphis. So I joked it was his origin story.
Yeah. Which you didn't get all of it.
I didn't get all of it, but I got to see like some of your neighborhoods and some of the places that you hit up all the time, where your previous jobs were, like all the things. But why have a retreat? Why do you want your team to have a retreat, right? So part of the vision there, when you'll go into it, is basically like you can only know so much about somebody, your coworker, when you're in that same environment all the time. But when you pull people out of their normal, like what they're comfortable with, or just what's the normal environment, you get a different aspect of somebody. And we had a lot of that going on. So we were there. We left on a Monday morning and then got back on a Thursday afternoon. So we were there for a couple of days, and we had different Airbnbs, which that's a whole different story. We can talk about. Thank you, Airbnb, for being actually really cool.
Yeah, yeah, especially after just the craziness that took place there in the Airbnbs. Like, this isn't down on Airbnb. They did everything they could to make
They did an amazing job, honestly, for what. So we had two Airbnbs, one for boys, one for girls. And the girls' Airbnb, beautiful. Like, we were going to have all our team activities, all the things there. Get in there, it's hot. We're like, that's kind of weird. ACs won't turn on. And then the power's acting funny. Lo and behold, the meter to the house was bad. It had all sorts of issues, but Airbnb was pretty cool. So when that happens, Airbnb fully refunded us and also paid half of our hotel bill, which is kind of crazy to think about. So shout out to Airbnb. Thank you for taking care of us the way you did.
And the owner of the home.
Yeah. They were super cool about the whole thing. They were very apologetic. So that was just a nice customer experience per se. Despite the annoyances of it, because Memphis last week was touching 100 degrees almost every day.
Touching it, it was slapping it upside the face,
and it was hot.
It was hot.
It was hot. But yeah, anyway, so Nick, tell us the vision behind why the retreats, or what's the idea behind it, and then we can go into some of the details of the things that we actually did at Memphis.
All right, let me back way up a little bit and just talk. This podcast is all about helping urgent care clinics grow, but put that aside for a second. Let me just talk to the business owners, right? At the end of the day, your clinic is just a version of a business. You're in the healthcare space, but it's retail healthcare. Yep. So during 2020, when the pandemic shut everything down, I took about a month and a half, about 6 weeks, and I just developed out the vision of what I wanted Patient Care Marketing Pros and Nick the Marketer to look like in the future.
Yeah.
So one of those things was the core values that I wrote out based on the feedback that I had from our existing team at the time, you included, and based on what I wanted the company to look like. So I want to share those core values with you real quick for Patient Care Marketing Pros, and we'll build on the first one. So our first core value is culture trumps everything. Our second core value is win-win partnerships. and then we have exceptional client experience, and then embrace ownership. Now, I could do an individual podcast on every single one of those, but culture trumps everything. I come from a place where I think that it is more important to build your culture and your team than it is to develop like new clients, right?
Yeah.
I think if you take care of your people, the people, I'll say it this way, and I'm a spiritual person, so God has entrusted me with a group of people that I'm responsible for.
Right.
Like, not like a parent, but just like, these are people I'm going to have a positive impact on their life.
Or negative.
Or negative. So I want to build a positive culture and an experience. Now, culture is what everybody else brings to the table, not necessarily what I demand of people.
Well, like we've said, so we're currently hiring more people right now, and which is a great thing. But one of the things that we talk about culture, because I have to say, like, generally, I would say culture is kind of like eye rolled by a lot of people. We're like, oh, culture, yeah. That's just a bunch of words on a piece of paper. But what we know culture is what happens when you leave the room, right? When authority or whatever is no longer present, and then the culture actually comes out.
I read a really good quote. Sorry for interrupting you, but it's relevant to what you just said. Like, people eye roll, and then we read a quote. We're reading. What's the name of the book we're reading?
Oh yeah, it'll come to me in a second. But
it's like Intolerable or unreasonable hospitality. Unreasonable hospitality.
We are struggling.
We're burning this to ground. It's actually a really good book, but I've spent a lot less time on the cover of the book and more inside of it. But there was it
is good.
Yeah, really good quote in there that says people who eye roll or badmouth other people's culture are living in a culture where it's underdeveloped or non-existent.
Non-existent, yeah,
right?
yeah.
Or it's just words to them.
Yeah, and that's real. Like, culture as a whole is something that honestly, like, that phrasing's been around for a while, but I feel that the past probably 10 to 20 years, it's been I'll say taboo, but just kind of one of those. Oh, it's part of our great culture. And everybody's like, yeah, that's not real,
right?
Or oh, it looks great, because Nick and I both, we litmus test it all the time. Where anytime we have a new hire, 90 days in, we always have like a 90-day evaluation, and one of the first questions I ask is, did we as a company live up to the expectation that we gave you? And they're like, oh yeah, like consistently, right? And we want that because, like, we want to be real with people.
Absolutely. Well, going back to that culture, when I was developing out the thought process, like, culture is such a big word, right? Well, how do you be intentional about the culture? Well, obviously there's things that you put into place to do that, rules, regulations, however you want to look at that, right? But for me, originally in the vision, and we're just now getting to a place where we can execute it. And there's a tip there. Think about your business in the future where you want it to be, not necessarily where it is today. All right, so I just say that.
Yeah, because, we're year 6.
Yeah.
The things that we did last week couldn't have happened in year 1, 2, 3, 4, almost 5.
Right.
And then I think because we've, this subject's been around for a little while, and we kept pushing it off, like time's not right. Honestly, some of it is some of the team members didn't make sense at the time.
Right.
Our processes weren't as solid as they are right now.
Financial in some places, to be honest.
The finances were, anyway, like, it's a challenge to take people, a majority of your team off-site onto a thing. Now, we had time for work to do some actual client work and so forth. But
had to take care of the clients.
But at the end of the day, like, you are physically moving your team somewhere else for a couple of days, and that's, A, it's not cheap, and B, the logistics around it is a challenge. Like, big shout out to Kim. I don't know if she actually listens or not, but big shout out to Kim she's part of our team, but she loves event planning, and she knocked it out of the park.
She killed it, for sure.
Really did.
But again, going back to that original 2020 sitting down over paper while the world's closed, I wrote in there, I want to have 2 off-site team retreats twice a year, 2 of them once a year. 2 twice a year. Twice a year, I want to have. However, the math is hurting at this point, but the point is,
every 6 months or so.
Well, no, it was actually very strategic. Even though we did this at a different time than what I was planning, the first one was supposed to be in January. We're going to go off. We're going to share mission, vision, values, where we're going, where we came from, what we did right, what we can do better, where we're going, how we're going to serve people, all the things that I want to lay out for the year. Right, like this is our playbook for the year. To serve our clients well and to grow this company. Yep. But that's one, and it has to be away from the office. Otherwise, you'll never get anything done. Now, this year was a little different because we moved into a brand new office, and so everything was new anyway. It might as well have been an offsite.
Yeah, it worked out. It was on site per se,
right?
But everything was like, we love our new office.
Yeah,
we're 6 months in and we still love it.
That's right.
Can't look back,
and it's not even finished yet. That's the funny. Like it's been actually. I'm glad that it wasn't fully finished because it's given something new to roll out and look forward to.
Yeah, because now we've reached a semi-finishing point with this room, but now we got 3 other rooms to look at to do more stuff in.
That's right.
But no, yeah, so that onsite, offsite one that we had at the beginning of the year, it was a lot of leadership-based training, like this is who we are, this is where we came from, this is where we're going.
Yeah, I brought in one of my mentors and coaches. I didn't teach it. I didn't orate the whole time.
Yeah, we had like a time, like an hour or two of just, here's the company, blah, blah, blah. But now we're going to pass it on to, what's the name?
You talking about Richard?
Richard, yeah. Pass it on to Richard.
Richard Mobley, 7-4 group. He's my coach. He's a John Maxwell coach, and I love him.
Yeah, so he walks us through the leadership game, which is kind of like a 2-day ordeal type thing.
Fun.
And it's fun because it forces you to think differently. And like one of the things, it's takeaways. So there's always takeaways, right? A couple of them. One is always pitch what people can catch because you have different personalities, and you got to be lenient about that. The other one was like how to quickly identify the personality that you're working with. So if you become a client and you fill out your intake form ahead of time, which we do thank you for that, there is a question there about your personality, and it allows us to understand how do you like to be talked to, essentially, because everyone's different. It's not a good or bad thing. It's just you're different.
And also everyone thinks they're right.
Yeah, and when you think you're right, I can cost you a lot of money.
I'm not gonna name the person, but maybe you can relate to this a little bit. We're going through a hiring process, and a comment was made by somebody on my team that is incredibly high detail, right?
Oh, yeah.
That said, I don't know that we can hire a person like that because they tend to be not as detail oriented, and it was in a sales role. And I'm like, all right, you're not right, and they're not wrong. You're just different. Right?
Yeah.
You're high detail. Let me ask you a question. Do you want to pick up a phone and call a customer? Or sell something?
Or walk
and they're
up,
like, no, that's not my personality at all.
Or do you want to walk up to a stranger and then hand them a business card and make a deal?
Exactly. And so, this other person who has all of the chops, all of the capabilities and skill set and gifting to pick up the phone, make you feel seen, heard, loved, and cared for as a client isn't a high detail person most of the time.
Yeah.
Right. By the way, that's me. I'm not a high detail person. Like, I hope my clients feel like I love, see them, care them, all that kind of stuff. But it's not because it's in the minutia of details.
Yeah.
Right.
Oh, yeah.
And I bring that up for a very specific reason. That first initial offsite that we did was all around personalities. I want our team to be able to gel and not just look at somebody and say, man, you're wrong because you're low detail, or you're wrong because you're high detail, or you're wrong because you come across as indifferent when you're really just a laid back person. Like, you need to understand that people are made the way they're made. And there's nothing wrong with them. They're just different than you. And that has to be a cultural foundation. And that doesn't happen when you're serving patients, or when you're coding a bill, or when you're checking somebody in on Clockwise or Solve or Athena, right? Like, that's not where your culture is built. It's built somewhere else when you're intentional about it. Now, the second offsite that we did, and I'm going to let you do the vast majority of the talking on this one, but the second offsite was literally built to build relationship.
Build a team.
Build a team and build a relationship. That, like, we don't go around calling each other family around here. We're a team, okay?
Yep.
And teams, have you ever seen Remember the Titans?
Oh, yeah.
Okay, they left the school to an off-site because they were a broken team, and they had to build their team, and they had to go through crap separate of the game. They had to go through that to build their team. Now, that's extreme, okay? We're not dealing with racism or any of that kind of stuff here, right? But you have to get out. And by the way, we saw that play out in real time by one of our youngest team members, right, to one of our most passionate team members. And man, it was like the unstoppable force met the immovable object, and they just, boom, they batted heads, right? But it came to a place of, on the other side of that conflict, I saw a third-party leadership come out.
Yep.
I saw correction in one area. I saw humbling in another area. And that stuff can fester in an environment where it's not allowed to be released.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Yeah, so kind of give you guys a breakdown of this retreat, may give you good ideas. But I do think at the end of the day, if you find that you have a pretty good team, but you're trying to make them better, try and get them to relate to each other more, this type of situation could be really helpful. I mean, at the end of the day, we had fun for sure, but we learned more about each other and we opened up conversations more. And so, and anytime you can get your team to, because there's always opportunities of like, oh, I didn't know that about you,
Right?
know, that especially if you're a larger team. But this isn't the hoorah, like, oh, we're doing a team event because our company
Mandatory fun.
mandatory fun. We had a previous
nice eye roll, Michael. That was fantastic.
I got,
You go,
I hate that. We have a previous employee that loved that phrase, and he's not here anymore.
Clearly not a culture fit for us.
No, but it's real.
Love him. Miss him from time to time.
He doesn't listen to this. All right, so that'd be funny if he did. So going through that, what are the things that we did? So one was, well, a couple of small things, right? So whether you like it or not, we had girls versus boys indirectly on some of the things. Like we didn't mean it that per se to be that way. It just kind of worked out where the guys rode up separately from the girls. That was something just funny to me. But when we got down to the actual team event, so the first team event was a scavenger hunt on Bill Street. So Bill Street's the famous street in Memphis. It's where B.B. King, Elvis, you know, if there's anything music related to Memphis, Bill Street was where it's going to happen.
Right.
So Kim, who'd set up the whole event, she's from Memphis, and so she was able to go to Bill Street earlier on and just basically find things throughout the street for us to find in stores, at certain restaurants, bars, all these things. And we were randomized on our team. So we were in, 4 teams? 3?
Something like that.
4 teams?
Yeah.
And there were like 3 or 4 of us per team. And we had, an hour and a half?
Something like that.
So an hour and a half. And she gave us a list of 40 or 50 things to find. And each list was actually slightly different. So it made it interesting because you would run into the other team members, but they're not looking for what you're looking for.
Yeah, she did so good on that.
Yeah, and she's just sitting there in the middle at the soda fountain shop, just kind of laughing at us.
And taking pictures.
And taking pictures of what she's like, I've created this chaos, you know.
I will tell you what, and if you're anything like me, again, there were 40-something things to go find on this list on one street. And for me personally, I was like, oh, God, this sounds exhausting. I had the best time.
It was great, and it was hot, but
it was fun.
It was a lot of fun. Also, the store people, like all those people in Bill, they were super happy to see us and want to help us. Yeah. It was a Monday, so it was pretty chill. And I think you told us like Friday night, Saturday night, it's kind of like it's wild.
It's shoulder to shoulder.
Yeah. And so like that was cool because we did that for a little while, and then my team your team won.
Our team won.
Your team won.
Yep.
And part of that gift was like every team activity had a prize tied to it.
Right. That one was the day off,
and that was the day off. So you were able to gift.
I gifted mine to our team member who stayed behind to take care of our awesome clients.
Yeah. So by day off, that's a pretty awesome gift for most people. You get a free day off, free vacation day, right?
Right.
And so that was like the first part of that day. The next part of that same day, we went to, I think it's funny, went to the Pyramid Bass Pro Shop, which, by the way, Memphis has a giant pyramid in the middle of the city.
It's the largest pyramid in the world.
Largest pyramid in the world.
That's being reported.
And it's a Bass Pro Shop. Now, it's cool. If you've never been to Bass Pro Shop, it's a whole lot of fun. It's just an outdoor activity store. It's got everything you could think of that has to do with the outdoors. It was fun. We got to walk around. We got to ride the elevator to the very top, do the observation tower. That was pretty cool. I want to go back and just try the restaurant because it looked kind of neat.
It was okay when we went. Like,
oh yeah,
the food is good enough.
Yeah,
it's more the experience. Than the food.
So we did that, and then we rolled on to our Airbnbs, which became a fiasco.
That was a 2-hour figure things out.
Well, it was so funny because all of us, we've always had great Airbnb experiences. And so we had 2 separate Airbnbs, so 2 separate owners, 2 separate everything. And the guy's Airbnb, the door code worked, but somebody physically locked the house with a key, and we didn't have access to that key. And then, of course, the owner took a long time to get a hold of. And once they did, I got a spare key in a box. So a 4 o'clock check-in became like a 6 o'clock check-in, which wasn't a big deal. But the bigger deal was the other Airbnb where the power's out, everything's out. The girls were hitting 80 degrees plus in their house, and this isn't working. So Airbnb was super cool about the refund. Kim was awesome at getting the hotels and so forth. So beyond the Airbnb stuff, we moved on to a famous restaurant in Memphis, of Corky's. Like that's kind of a go-to restaurant, and it was pretty good. I have to say, Birmingham barbecue I think is better.
I agree now.
Now,
well, I mean, look,
You're a convert?
I grew up a barbecue snob. No, they've let it go.
they kind of melded in. At that
I don't
point.
think the barbecue we used to have. I think the reason Memphis is famous for barbecue is because of Barbecue Fest at Memphis in May. I think that's what makes it famous, not
cool.
because the restaurants.
That's cool. But anyway, so ate Corky's. It was fine, and then we retired back to our places that we're going to stay. Which our Airbnb had like arcade games, all the fun stuff. They had to get hotels for the girls, so that was a bummer. But the next day, it was pool day. So Kim actually has a really awesome setup with a pool and everything. Like, I love her house.
Yeah, her house is fantastic.
And I love the way she's decorated. Like, it was comfy. I get why she works out of the house. Yeah. I totally get it now. And also, I told her, I joked with her, I totally get why who's coming to your front door. You're right there.
She's there. She can see everything.
She can. It's like a command center.
That's right.
Anyway, so pool day. So pool day was pretty straightforward. Like it was literally just hanging by the pool. I wasn't much of a pool person. I put my feet in and hung out. Same with Alyssa. Although y'all gave me the hard time. Y'all didn't say anything to Alyssa. And then we taught Philip how to tread water.
Alyssa can't swim.
She couldn't swim?
That's what she said.
Oh, well.
Like, what am I going to do? Like, I can't. Anyway, let's keep going with this episode.
So that was just a whole lot of fun because it was really just hanging out, right? Like, It was just real super chill. If we had some work pop up, we would just go in the house, do the work for a while, come back out. It was just very nice. Like, it was very just easy going.
Right.
And then it moved on to the more funny / well, this is interesting, a coworker painting that evening. And the coworker painting, what you had mentioned earlier, there was a conflict that approached because of the coworker painting. And so for those who don't know, what do you mean a coworker painting? So basically, we randomly pick somebody, a coworker, to paint. Well, none of us are artistic except for Izzy, apparently.
Yeah, she did really good.
Izzy and then Grace had really cool. I love the way she did hers, but majority of us, we don't need to pick up a paintbrush.
No.
But part of that but part of the event was you had to pick a word.
That's where it went sideways.
That represented the person that you thought. And that, like you said, that caused a conflict.
Yeah.
And it was resolved, as was mentioned, but it created a conflict, which was kind of good and bad, right? But at the same time, it was real interesting to see all the other words being used and so forth. And people, for the most part, agreed. Like, yeah, that sounds about right. Like, I got Hannah, and so I put joy because I think she's always bringing a lot of happy and laughter. And
ray of sunshine.
Yeah. Which I know we've all talked to her about the ray of sunshine. She's like, sometimes I don't want to be a ray of sunshine.
I get that.
Being a business cloud.
Being a business owner, like, I'm not allowed to come in here and have breakdowns or anything.
Yeah.
Like I think I had one that I can remember. It wasn't a breakdown. That's not the right word, but it lets you know how people view you, though, because somebody left a note on. They could tell I was visibly having a tough time with something.
Yeah.
And Izzy, I'll just say it. Izzy left me a note. She said, "You're doing a great job."
Yeah.
And I guess sometimes you need to hear that.
Yeah.
So keep going.
As a complete side note, mentioning the note, we have been sending awesome cards to our clients, just as a thank you to clients, and the feedback's been amazing.
Yeah, you did squirrel on that. Good job. You're right.
When you said the note thing, it made me flash up because we had just sent a note to a client that's been around with us for a while, and we were just saying, like, you're doing an awesome job and we'd love to see the growth that you're having. And then the reply back to us, like a text back, was like, I really needed this.
Yeah,
and
that encouragement helps.
Yeah, so just as a side note for your employees or maybe certain patients or vendors, it's okay to send them a handwritten letter.
Yeah, it's okay to just say thank you for being whoever you are.
Anyway, so going back to the coworker paying, it was fun based on, and also send out surveys. Based on surveys, it was not necessarily the favorite of the bunch, but it was a lot of fun. It took. We had an hour to paint, but the whole process probably took 2 hours to go through. So it was great. So then the next day, so we're approaching our final full day, and and the big event was the cooking. So the cooking.
Well, don't forget we went to Graceland all day.
That's true. That was less of a team event, more an attraction to the city.
That was an attraction, but it was fun.
It was. Yeah. If you can go to Graceland, please do. It's actually a whole lot bigger than people think it is.
Yeah.
Because not
the mansion. The theme park across the street.
Yeah, the mansion is like I could walk through this in 10 minutes, which is about right.
It's about what we did.
But the theme park / like 5 museums across the street. That's all part of your ticket, by the way, including the giant airplanes. That's cool. And like they even had Lisa Marie Presley already in there. Like that was pretty neat.
Right.
Recommend it. If you're in Memphis, you might as well. And it does take about 4 hours to go through, just as a side note. It is not a quick trip on the Graceland side of things. Anyway, so yeah, Graceland was all day thing, and it finally started raining, which was nice. My God, it was hot. But when that rain came in, it cooled everything off, and it was like a flood for a second. But anyway, so we moved on to the cooking. So the cooking challenge was pretty cool because we had to come up with our ideas, and we had our teams picked out weeks prior, and then we had to pick what we're going to cook, and then Kim placed an order for all the ingredients so we could all have everything we needed and just show up into the kitchen and start cooking. And so we were broken out from appetizer drinks to main entrees to desserts. And it was a blast. Like we were cooking probably 3 hours.
We had such a good time. And Kim brought up the best point about this while we were cooking. So somebody was doing the appetizers.
Yeah.
And then my team had the main course. And then you guys made the best desserts I've ever had in my life. And that is not a euphemism. I'm not exaggerating or bloviating. They were the best desserts I've ever had.
Good.
Especially that Biscoff one. Can I have some? Anyway,
just ask Izzy.
Yeah, well, anyway, they were made from scratch, like super made from scratch. All of that to be said, that we're all competing, right? Yeah. But everybody was stepping in and helping the competitors team do so. Like
we did not see anybody as a competitor.
No. Oh, we totally did. We were talking trash the whole. Well, my team was.
Okay, well,
we were talking trash the whole time, but at the same time, we're like, while we're talking trash, it looks like you could use some help here. Let me get you.
Well, like inside the kitchen, we were like, "What do you need?
Yeah,
how can we help? Let me get out of the way for you." Like there was a lot of that going on, and like if you looked at it from afar, it looked like chaos, any kitchen. But because there were
the food was good,
9 or 10 of us piled into that kitchen that wasn't meant for 9 or 10 people,
right?
And all the food was fantastic. The fettuccine Alfredo was legit.
Yeah,
that I really enjoyed. I enjoyed the other pasta too, but that fettuccine was really good. I'll make a joke about Philip and his drinks.
Oh,
so the drinks were a little strong, but it was really funny to watch Philip. Like he went from too much. He started pouring more. He said, "You just got to put a vibe in that." You know, just, no measuring. He was vibing, is what he was saying.
That's right.
It was fantastic. But they were having a great time. And in our desserts. So I was on the dessert team.
Unbelievable.
So our biggest advantage is Izzy's like this quiet creative. She's very creative and just doesn't seem to mention that, and it shows up when we need it to. And then I had like a homemade whipped cream that I come up with. It's very good. It went into everything that we had except for the cookies. But yeah, those
cookies were good too, man. Like everything y'all made was good.
It was so yummy.
The only thing that I could have done without was the key lime pie. But that's only because the other ones were so good.
Yeah. The key lime was good too, but it was stronger on the flavor. But it was cool though because none of us are good cooks per se. Like we're not like outstanding, amazing cooks, right? But the food we made was better than most restaurants.
Yeah. And I would say not only was it better, like it wasn't really even close.
Yeah, you tend to forget like if you want like really really good food from a restaurant, you got to go to a really high end restaurant to get it.
That's right.
When you taste the food that we had versus like your $20 meal somewhere else, like God, $20 meal tastes like junk.
Yeah,
it really did. But it was fantastic though. But it was really cool because everyone voted like on those survey stuff. Like the cooking challenge was like the go-to item.
I'm pretty sure Hannah didn't vote. She didn't want to.
Oh.
She's like, I don't want to do this. Just give it to the desserts. They win.
Yeah, and so what was the reward on that one was a $100 gift card for each person on the team. So we got the $100 gift card. I placed an order for some car stuff last night. Always spent more than what the gift card was worth, but that's how it goes.
That's how it goes, man.
That's how it goes.
$100 is a tease.
Yeah.
That's guy math, though, right?
Yeah.
Like, there's girl math. Guy math is that's $100 I don't have to worry about.
So. And I sold my tires over the weekend.
Nice.
So
Those were free then.
Yeah,
Everything was
just
free.
completely free.
All right.
But
We need to wrap it up.
Yeah. So at the end of the day, it wasn't a super long event, right? We left on a Monday, came back on a Thursday. So Monday was half travel. Thursday was just a pure travel day. And then we just hit up a couple of team events. It went really fast. It was that weird, like Monday, man, we're just now getting here. Tuesday, this feels kind of long. Wednesday, oh man, it's over. You're like, here comes Wednesday. And but it was fun. Everybody had a good time. There were no trips to the ER, urgent care, so that was good because you never know.
Never know.
But we loved it. And so let's see, were there benefits from it? What do you think?
Man, there's so many benefits from it. People were buzzing after that trip.
Yeah.
And I will tell you that I'm going to tell you, business owner, the ancillary benefit is when they get another job offer for a higher paying job or something like that, they're going to really give it a second, third, fourth, and fifth thought before they decide, or they just flat out say no.
Yeah.
I'm just not going to do it. I got more feedback of like, whose job does this? I got more of that kind of stuff than anything else.
Yeah.
And because all of us have worked somewhere before for the most part. And you know, everybody's like, nobody is intentional about this. And that's why I want to work here. Think about it from your clinic perspective. I get it. You cannot close your clinic for 4 days. Oh, by the way, we didn't close. We'll talk about that a little bit. We didn't close.
Dear clients, we were still working on your stuff.
Yeah, we took care of everything. We didn't miss an email. We built the stuff we were supposed to build. We delivered. We even signed a contract while we were there.
And they kicked off yesterday and launching ads tomorrow.
Exactly. Shout out to Gemini. We're excited to have you. Yeah. That being said, though, where was I going with that, Michael?
Benefits with the urgent care.
Yes. Oh, yeah. I know that you can't close down for several days.
No.
But I want you to think about your team. How often are you trying to bring in new nurses, new staff? How often are you turning that over? Just imagine one day out of 365 days, one day. You'll do it for a holiday. You'll close the day for a holiday.
July 4th is coming.
Yeah, you'll close for Thanksgiving, Christmas, and I get that. Those are real holidays. But what if you closed on a random Monday? What is the slowest day of the week for you? And you took one day and you invested in your team. I don't know what that looks like. We just gave you several examples, several examples, like bringing in a business coach, taking everybody out to dinner.
Team challenge.
Yeah, like my wife likes flowers on any day except for a day she's expecting them. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Imagine that for your team is similar the same way. They expect you to be closed for Thanksgiving. They expect you to be closed for Christmas. They don't expect you to be closed on a Tuesday in July just to serve them and build a team with them. Those ancillary benefits that we don't talk about, the next day when they come back, they are doing better work. They're proud of the work that they're doing because they're proud of the company that they work for.
Yeah.
They're loving their clients a little differently because they're proud of the company that they work for and the vision and the care behind the company that's delivering that result. They are going to get job offers, and this isn't going to keep everybody.
No.
Okay? We're not stupid.
We've been around long enough to realize we get 1 to 2 years out of an employee before things start to change.
Yeah.
And then either we change with them or they change and go do something else. But we even had a recent employee that left and he hates that he left.
Yeah. He regrets leaving.
Yeah. And
I miss him.
Yeah. He was a
great guy.
around.
Yeah.
But,
he was a good part of our team.
But at the end of the day, like he made a choice and we couldn't match this choice.
Yeah.
And there you go. And so that's real. Like we're not saying, oh, culture will stop your churn on your employee. No, it may help it.
I think people are going to do better work because they're proud of it.
Yep.
I think they're going to stay longer and more engaged. Right.
And I think it will push out the people that just don't want to be here.
And let's just say all of the non-selfish things here. It's good for them.
Yeah.
It's good for them to know that they can go and be themselves at work and not live two different lives.
Well, and that's the thing that I think we forget about. Half of our lives, if you're working full time, half of your life is work.
Right.
The other half is family or just being at home. If you're going to spend half your life in an office, you might as well enjoy it. or enjoy the people around you.
Well, so obviously we think we're right on this subject. I think it's important to get away from the office, the clinic, whatever you want to, wherever you're working out of, and go somewhere else and build culture within your team. Are you doing that already? I would love to hear about it.
I would
love to know what you're doing.
Because every time we have a chance to hear from you guys about what you're doing in your clinic,
right?
Talk to, because it's great, because either we pull an episode out of it or like we've never thought about that before.
Well, and people build cultures differently. We had a great episode with Mercy Urgent Care, and they were talking about their mission behind the urgent care, and they have a whole company across multiple locations that have this one dedicated view. And they've built a culture around it. So culture doesn't mean that you have to leave the office. I'm just saying that that's what we did. And I think there's a place for you, probably not for a week, but definitely for a day, where you can close down and do that, or even do it in shifts, like run skeleton crews, right?
Yeah. Well, in the reality, like at the end of the day, we really want our employees to be advocates of the company.
Yes.
Because one of the things that you've always said, I've had the same experience in my life. Sunday afternoon used to be the worst day of the week for me.
No, not even close. Yeah.
Right. And it was simply the worry, the anxiety, the anxious, just pure being anxious about what's coming to me Monday morning.
Right.
We don't have that here, or we try not to have that.
It's here. Pretty rare.
It's rare. Occasionally a client will like to beat us up or whatever. But the reality of it is, we want people to come in on a Monday morning and it doesn't feel like, oh, crap, this is going to be a terrible day. Like, it's going to be, hey, it's Monday. Let's get some things done. Let's have some fun. And let's just...
I look forward to Mondays.
Yeah. Yeah.
On a Sunday afternoon when work pops into my head, I get excited now.
Yeah. That's a cool transition. And that, to me, is part of culture ultimately.
Right.
Because the interviews we've been going through, I know we're going long, but that's okay. The interviews we've been going through, hearing the feedback on what their current job situations are incredible. Like, this is 2024. Why is this still a thing? Like, why is this common? Where, work is life, and if you're working for me, I own you. Like, that mindset, like that's not real. Like, that's just not real. But people that's the culture there, is so they get bought into it. I was that way at the old place, and like where I used to work, and I was bought into that's the way things are.
Honestly, Michael, how many times can you count on one finger? Have you heard me say, "I sign your paycheck"?
Yeah.
That's where I came from.
Yeah,
that's where I came from.
Yep.
Where, hey, you're going to do this because I signed your paycheck. I was like, well, you know what, man, I can get someone else to sign a paycheck too.
Well, in mine, a lot of mine was like, you got to customers are everything. And then you have to sacrifice for the customer. I'm like,
I want the audience to hear this. Your patients are incredibly important to your practice.
Our clients are incredibly important to us.
Right. But your team is there every day. Your patients will come and go based on a review.
They'll come and go because you're closing in 10 minutes.
They will do a Google search, and if you don't have an opening, you are no longer their provider. They will go to another one. Point I'm trying to make is, my team will be here long past the client.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
And I want to make sure that you're well taken care of as a client. Don't get me wrong, but I absolutely want to make sure that you're well cared for by my team. With that, we need to close.
Well, let's go ahead and close it on that. Yep. Thank you guys for listening to another episode. We're letting you peek into our world every time we do an episode these days. If you got feedback, hello@patientcaremarketingpros.com. Send us an email. Go out there and please leave reviews, rate our podcast. It helps us. Please go subscribe, by the way. We're looking at our subscriber numbers. They're starting to build. Love to see more subscribes out there. By the way, half of you that listen don't subscribe. So I'm going to push on you guys to press that subscribe button.
All right. Y'all have a great week. We'll see you next week.
See you.